We have been looking at Deuteronomy, and we're in chapter 32 of Deuteronomy. And today, as we're studying the book of the law, which Deuteronomy actually calls itself the book of the law, as well as we know, the beginning of the book starts with these be the words, Adabarim. As we're studying Deuteronomy, we're in chapter 32. And chapter 32, as we have read, is a song that Moses wrote as a result of the experiences of the children of Israel. It is also a song that not only talks about the experiences of their past, our fathers' past, but it's a song of prophecy as well, talking about the future. And today, the first two times we look through this book of the law, Deuteronomy in chapter 32, the last time we were looking at it, the subject, the part of the book we were studying was how the Most High led Jeshurun. Jeshurun is another name for Yashar'al. And we saw that as we studied last time. And before that, we studied the teachings of the Most High, how he divided the nations, but he chose the nation of Israel. And we're going to continue that as we start here in chapter 32. And I'm going to start where we stopped last time, which is verse 15. And we're going to talk about a little bit about why the Most High is a most jealous God. The one most jealous is what the title of today's lesson is. The one most jealous. We're going to talk about that a little bit. So let's start at Deuteronomy 32. And I'm going to read verse 15 and 16. Deuteronomy 32, verse 15 and 16. But Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked. Thou art waxen fat, thou art grown thick, thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook Elohim, which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. With abominations provoked they him to anger. Let us stop here for a moment. The Most High, brothers and sisters, one of the things that I have learned, and I'm trying to express to other people as I have learned it from the Most High, is the Most High doesn't deal with us just as us, but he deals with us as a people in terms of where we come from and who we are generationally, which is why there are generational blessings and curses from the Most High. And our fathers made a vow to the Most High and he chose our fathers to be his people. And they made a vow to obey him. And they broke their vows. But he has not forgotten the vow that they made to him. He has not forgotten it. And though he punished them and he punished us as a result of their disobedience, he is now also promised to bless us and turn us around. But he is jealous. And we might wonder sometimes why evil things happen to our people in such great degrees, the way it doesn't happen to anybody else on the earth. But you have to understand a couple of things. First, let's look at Ecclesiastes chapter 5. Ecclesiastes chapter 5. And I would like to look at Ecclesiastes chapter 5. And I will read from verse 1 down to verse 5 of Ecclesiastes chapter 5. Notice what it says. Keep thy foot when thou goest into the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with thy mouth, let not thy heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim, for Elohim is in heaven, and thou upon the earth. Therefore let thy words be few. For a dream cometh through the multitude of business, and a fool's voice is known by multitude of words. When thou vowest a vow unto Elohim, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fool. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay. So the Most High, through Solomon here, is showing us that it's better not to make a vow than to make a vow to the Most High and not fulfill that vow. Our fathers made a vow. They said, all that Yahweh have said we will do and be obedient. Let's look at that. This would be Exodus chapter 24. Exodus chapter 24. Our fathers at Mount Sinai with the Most High Yahweh, with Moses, our fathers, 600 men strong, beside women and children. Exodus chapter 24, from verse 1 down to verse 8. Exodus 24, from verse 1 to verse 8. Notice what it said. And he said unto Moses, come up unto Yahweh, thou and Aaron, Nadab, and Abihawa, and 70 of the elders of Yasha'al, and worship ye afar off. And Moses alone shall come near Yahweh, but they shall not come nigh. Neither shall the people go up with him. And Moses came and told the people all the words of Yahweh, and all the judgment. And all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which Yahweh have said we will do. And Moses wrote all the words of Yahweh, and rose up early in the morning, and building an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars, according to the 12 tribes of Yasha'al. And he sent young men of the children of Yasha'al, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto Yahweh. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people, and they said, all that Yahweh have said we will do and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which Yahweh hath made with you concerning these words. So our fathers made a covenant in Mount Sinai with the Most High to be obedient to his covenant, to be his people. And in the history of planet Earth, I have never read, and you tell me if you have, of a people that by miracle as a nation was saved from another nation. Have you ever read that about any people, like any place in any history book or any place where they were in another nation and they were taken out of that nation by a God, by miracles, and he took them out of that nation to be his people? Never ever has it been done by any. As a matter of fact, it is so amazing, this history, that there are people like I remember like Malcolm X and people of the Nation of Israel will say that this can't have happened. They think it's just a story. Like they don't believe it's real. The Nation of Islam, they don't believe that that is a real story. They think it was just like a fake fictional story to show a point, which is ridiculous. As Israelites, we know that it's the truth. That the Most High, we believe, is the truth. The Most High brought our fathers out with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm. And he chose our fathers above all the people of planet Earth. Again, let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 7. Deuteronomy chapter 7. And we're going to read Deuteronomy chapter 7 from verse 6. From verse 6 down to verse 9. Actually, from 6 to 11 of Deuteronomy chapter 7. From 6 to 11. Notice what it says. For thou, that is, you nation of Israel, you children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy Elohim. Yahweh thy Elohim have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Yahweh did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. But because Yahweh loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, hath Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that Yahweh thy Elohim is Elohim, faithful Elohim, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. He repayeth them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hateth him. He will repay him to his face. Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and statutes and the judgments which I command thee this day to do them. So he chose our fathers because of his promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, especially when he promised Abraham. And he said to Abraham, I have sworn, no, before we even go there, we just read where the Bible says that we should not vow any vow unless we're willing to pay the vow. You just, because the Most High will hold you to it. If you vow, he will hold you to it. And he himself vowed a vow to Abraham. He himself vowed to Abraham. He said, in blessing, I will bless you. Okay, and let's look at this. This is Genesis chapter 22. This is after Abraham was going to offer Isaac on the altar, and the Most High himself stopped Abraham from doing it. Notice again, Genesis 22, we take it up from verse 10. We take it up from verse 10 and go down to verse 18. Genesis 22 from 10 to 18. Notice what it says. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of Yahweh called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here am I. And he said, lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest Elohim, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place Yahweh Yarah, that is, Yahweh will provide. As it is said to this day, in the mount of Yahweh it shall be seen. Yahweh see. And the angel of Yahweh called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time and said, by myself have I sworn, saith Yahweh. For because thou hast done this thing and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemy. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. This is a tremendous promise. He's promising this man, this one man, that all of his children going forward will be blessed because of the faith of him, because of this man's faith. The Most High is making a vow here. Now, people will say, and I used to say this when I was a Christian, well, you know, the Gentiles are part of the nation, so that is what he's blessing. That is the nation of Israel. He's blessing that nation that by faith, the spiritual Israel, we used to call it. But no, as I look at the scriptures, yes, Gentiles, as we know, can be grafted into the nation. We talked about this. Just as a man can become a citizen of a foreign country, Gentiles can be grafted into the nation of Israel. But when he's talking about his seed, he's talking about people that come through his loin. And he says, I'm going to bless your seed. I'm going to bless your seed, and they're going to possess the gate of their enemies. So he made a vow to Abraham. He's going to keep that vow, brothers and sisters. We go again to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 14. Deuteronomy chapter 14. Deuteronomy 14, I'm going to read verse 2 and 3 of Deuteronomy chapter 14. Notice what it says, Deuteronomy 14, verse 2 and 3. For thou, that is you, Israelite children of Abraham, thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy Elohim, and Yahweh hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the face of the earth. Thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. So he has chosen us. He has not forgotten his promise or his vow. He is jealous because Abraham was faithful to him, and he expects Abraham's children to be faithful to him. But we know that we have not been faithful, that we provoked him to jealousy, that our fathers worshiped other gods, which is why the punishment upon us had to be as severe as it has been. Because he has not forgotten the promise he made to Abraham, and his word is not going to return unto him void. Remember, the Bible says that his word will not return unto him void. So as we're now in a situation on planet Earth where we're seeing people mistreated because of the color of their skin, we understand that it's not just the color of their skin. We understand that it's to do with our fathers and the vows they made and the broken promise and the jealousy of the Creator. We understand that. And that's part of the awakening. Again, let's look at Jeremiah chapter 31. Jeremiah chapter 31. We are used to part of this scripture is in Hebrews, and we read it weekly. But there's another part we don't read that we should read. I mean, I'm just admonishing you to read it when you get a chance. As Israelites, as the scattered nation of the Most High. Notice what it says in Jeremiah 31. Jeremiah 31. I'm going to read from verse 31. From verse 31 of Jeremiah 31 down to verse, let's see, from verse 31 down to verse 37. Okay, notice again, promises of the Most High. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Yasha'al and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, saith Yahweh. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith Yahweh, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Yahweh. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. Thus saith Yahweh, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith Yahweh, then the seed of Yasha'al also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. Thus saith Yahweh, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Yasha'al for all that they have done, saith Yahweh. So in other words, you can't measure the earth, right? You can't measure the earth. The ordinances that he has set in motion of the sun, the moon, and stars will never stop. Okay? You can't measure the heavens and the stars. Physicists try to do it, but they just guess it. And he said, because you can't measure that, if you could, then I cast off the nation. So he is never going to cast off the nation, which is again why the punishment must be so severe. He's jealous. He has not forgotten who we are. He has not forgotten his promise to Abraham. And as a matter of fact, when we just read Genesis 18, that was an object lesson of the Most High sending who? Yahushua, his only begotten son, for the sins of Abraham's children. I know people like to say, well, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. But as you study the scriptures, you understand. Messiah also said in the same Gospel of John, I pray not for the world, but for those thou hast given me, for they are thine. So when he's talking about the world, he's not talking about every Tom, Dick, and Harry. He's talking about Abraham's children. You say, well, what about every Tom, Dick, and Harry? What about the Gentiles? We already know that through the nation of Israel, the Most High intends to reach the whole earth. That's why he said, in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. See, in thee, that is in you, Abraham, and in your seed, the nation of Israel, whom I've chosen, I'm blessing the whole earth. Because of the disobedience of our fathers and us worshiping other gods, he placed a heavy curse upon us. He put us in slavery, as we read in Deuteronomy 28. He put us through all kinds of stuff, which we're still suffering to this day. But the awakening has begun. And that's why the awakening is one of the most important, in fact, ox and a cos, I mean, excuse me, but aside from the coming of the Messiah himself, the awakening of his people is the most important thing in the history of planet Earth. There's no question about it. Because this awakening is the start of a gathering together of the scattered nation. That's what we're witnessing right now. This is historical, what we're witnessing right now. The awakening of the people of the nation of Israel as to who they are. And of course, as we read in the book of Deuteronomy, and we'll read it more tonight, this was prophesied that we would awaken. And Deuteronomy 30 prophesies about the awakening, and Deuteronomy 28 helps us awaken. Because remember what the Apostle Shaul said, or the Apostle Paul in the book of Romans, which we read last week, but I want to read it again today from a different angle. This is the thing about truth, brothers and sisters. It's like a multifaceted diamond. Every angle is glorious and beautiful, and every angle gives you a different view, but it's the same diamond. That's the way the truth is in the word. You can look at the same verse and see different angles of the truth. So we looked at Romans 11 last week. But I want to show you something from a different angle of the same Romans 11 this week. Let's look at Romans chapter 11. Talking about how our fathers rejected the Messiah. And the curse came upon us that we now feel to this day. And that now we're awakening out of. That's what this is about. The curse that came upon us as our fathers rejected the Messiah is with us to this day. It is that reason our brothers are getting shot in the back 20 times by police officers. It is that reason that a Caucasian boy can shoot up a school and be taken in peacefully. Another Caucasian boy can walk into a church and kill a whole bunch of people going to church and be taken to McDonald's, right? But another boy that gets arrested for stealing something can get 65 years in prison. That's because of the curse. That's because of the curse. I know people like to yell racism, but it's more than that. See, when you're an Israelite, you understand it's deeper than that. That's just the surface issue. It's deeper than that. It's because of the curse that's been upon us. And now that we're awakening, the curse is being lifted. Now, the people don't recognize, by and large, but we who are Israelites recognize that the curse is being lifted. Why? Because we are witnesses of the awakening. We ourselves are awakening, right? So we are witnesses of the awakening. You following me? So in Romans chapter 11, notice what it says. Romans chapter 11. I'm going to start at verse 7 and go down to verse 12. What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh after, which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. According as it is written, Yahweh hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear unto this day. And David said, let their table be made a snare and a trap and a stumbling block and a recompense unto them. Let their eyes be darkened that they may not see, and bow down their back always. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? Yahweh forbid. But rather through their fall salvation is come unto the Gentiles to provoke them to jealousy. Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness? So this is the thing. By us going into slavery, by us being oppressed, people have gotten wealthy and powerful in this earth, right? By oppressing us, people have gotten wealthy and powerful. By us rejecting Messiah, Gentiles got opportunity to come to him, right? But now, as the awakening begins, the blessing is going to come on the earth in the form of eternal salvation. So that when we are fully, see, Messiah is not going to return until his people are awakened on the earth. And he is returning, which means his people are awakening. There's not going to be a second delay in the return of the Messiah. So his people are going to awaken. And as they awaken, those connected with them will be blessed. And the greatest blessing is not, see, this is the thing, because of our being diminished, beaten, placed in slavery, oppressed for hundreds and hundreds of years. Other peoples got wealthy on this earth's goods. Other peoples got opportunity to know the truths that are given to our fathers. Other peoples got opportunity to join the nation of Israel. But that's all temporary stuff. The greatest gift that the Most High can give any human on planet Earth is the seal of the Spirit of the Most High. If he can take a man and place his spirit on that man and seal that man in his spirit, the Most High is not only giving that man perfect righteousness, the Most High is not only making that man after the order of himself, but the Most High is giving that man eternal existence. So through the awakening of the nation, people are going to obtain eternal salvation. And then Messiah will return, and then the kingdom that will go on without end forever will begin. And it all starts with the awakening of the Israelite nation. See? So if the diminishing of us caused the Gentiles to be blessed, the fullness of us is going to cause eternal salvation to come upon the earth. And it's going to happen. There's no question, because the Most High has said it. It's going to happen. Okay? The only question is, who among us is going to take the Most High at his word, and who among the Gentiles is going to receive the word from us? That's the only question, because it's going to come to pass. He's going to have a nation. But tonight, what I wanted to go into as we're looking at Deuteronomy 32 is how our fathers provoked him to jealousy, and he's still jealous. He hasn't stopped. And that's why I say to y'all, he's quiet now. He's quiet because he's diligently focused on the development and preparation of the 144,000 for a myriad of reasons, not the least of which is the fact that he wants, Most High himself wants this thing to end. He wants all the disease, the sickness, the oppression, the corruption, the perversion of sexuality, perversion and greed. He wants to put sin to an end on planet Earth. The Most High is zealous to get that done. He's zealous to get that done. And that's one reason. Also, because this 144,000 are fulfillment of prophetic utterance, fulfillment of prophecy, as we saw from Revelation. Also, because the 144,000 by their existence and seal will bring to pass, will cause to come to fruition the return of the Messiah. So he's diligently focused on that right now. He's diligently focused. We got people concerned with building churches, building buildings, collecting money. We got people out here concerned with the Pope. We got people out here concerned with their denomination. We got people out here concerned with trying to get paid. We got people out here concerned with trying to accumulate power. And the Most High is not in any of that. His only concern right now is the 144,000, preparing his sons to bring forth his word with power of his spirit. Because he's jealous, he ain't paying no attention to the rest of the earth that's worshiping other gods, the gods of money and power and sex. He's not concerned with that. Do you know there are people out here that call themselves pastors, Christian pastors, that know the truth about the Israelite nation and will not present it to their congregations because they're afraid to lose their congregations, which means they're afraid to lose money. They'll manipulate the congregation to stay with them to keep the money, which means that they love the money more than they love the truth. Brothers and sisters, it really is coming down to some plain and simple things. Either you all in or you're not. It's just as simple as that. You can't ease your way in like you easing into a pool. Either you all in the water or you're not in the water. It's just like that. You can't be half pregnant. The nation can't be half a nation. Either the nation's all in or it's not. And he's going to have a nation, though scattered, that's all in. People messing around and pussyfooting around the truth, he's not paying attention to you, because if he was, he'd spank you because he's jealous. See, I know myself. Every time I mess up and I know I'm doing wrong and he's telling me by his spirit you're doing wrong and I do it anyway, he is faithful to spank me. He is faithful to spank me. And I know, and it used to be grievous, but now I praise his name, because without the spankings, I wouldn't come to the truth. Without the spanking, I wouldn't love him the way I love him. It's because of his spanking, his chastisement. He guides me. And he does it to all his people. When you're doing what you're not supposed to be doing, and you're not talking to him about, you're just trying to get over, believe me, you know he's going to spank you because he loves you. Now, when you're not one of his, he's not even paying no attention. You just go ahead. You go do what you do. Go do you. He's not paying no attention. Because he's jealous. And he knows who we are. And he knows who our fathers were. And he knows the promises that he made to our fathers. And the promises they made to him. He has not forgotten any of them. His word is going to come to pass. Just as he said. just as he said. It's going to come to pass. So our fathers, in this song that Moses sang, he not only is singing about what our fathers had done, but what they're going to do. So when he talks about they provoked him to jealousy with strange gods and abominations, he's not only talking about what they did when they worshiped the golden calf. He's not only talking about what they did when they were in Egypt and they started thinking they were Egyptians, and they weren't. They were Israelites. But they got caught up in Egyptian bondage for 4 centuries, and they started thinking they were Egyptian citizens and they had rights as Egyptians. Sound familiar? They forgot who they really were. See, we have more of an excuse today. And I'm not trying to, it's not a cop-out, but we do, because the nation that went down into Egypt, I mean, Jacob himself went down there. Joseph was there. The whole 12 original tribes were there. So they knew who they were. They know how they got there down into Egypt. So when they started thinking they were Egyptians, it really was a slap in the face. Us today, like, we come through slavery, we come through situations where they don't even, where the oppressor didn't even want us to learn how to read his language. He took away our language and didn't want us to read his language. He took away our names and gave us his names. That's what the oppressor did to us. So that we have names like Smith and Jones, when that wasn't our names. And we have names like Martinez and Fernandez, and that wasn't our names where we came from. That wasn't our names. Our names were like Masha, or Yahawashah, or Yaramaya, or Obadiah. That was our names. Or Yahasa, right? Or Yahawada, or Lawai, or Abaya. Those are the names we had. Or Abraham, Yashak, Yaakov. These are the names we had. We forgot all about that because we were sinners, because we provoked him to jealousy. We forgot all about that. They took us on slave ships. They brought us to different countries. They made us like animals. So now the fact that we don't know who we are, we got more of an excuse than our fathers. But at the same time, even through all of that, he's still awakening us. Even through all of that, he's still awakening us. And he's using these horrific things that happen to our people to see, to ask us to look up and ask the question, why? And now he's answering. He's showing us from the word. And brothers and sisters, when people ask you that, you know what to answer them. It's because of the sins of our fathers. That's why we're going through it. It's got nothing. I mean, look, the Caucasian man, the sons of Yafet, they made this power structure, this Caucasian power structure that came with Greek and Roman historical background and all that. But the Most High can overturn that anytime he wants to. He's not worried about that. He ain't worried about these greenbacks or even the gold they have. He's not worried about any of that. He can throw this thing upside down in a moment. He's not concerned. His only concern is the awakening of his people right now. That really is his concern. Because through the awakening of his people, he's going to bless the rest of the earth. And when the 144,000 give the call to come out of Babylon, his people, call out of her, my people, that call has already begun. It's begun now, but it's light right now. It's not real strong, but it's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger as years go by until it becomes loud, until the whole world notices it. And people are going to be having to take a decided stand in which way they're going to go. And the remnant is going to stand with the Most High's truth. And the blessing is going to come upon them and all who follow them. So we provoked him to jealousy. And we sacrificed to devils. You know, the Most High showed me something today I want to share with you. Y'all recall, as we studied Deuteronomy, that the Most High, when he told them, when you go in the land, they weren't just supposed to sacrifice any place. You remember that? He said, you can't just make an altar any kind of place you want to and sacrifice. He said, I have a place that I have chosen to put my name there. Right? Remember that? He said, I have a place that I have chosen to put my name there. That's where you're going to go and do your sacrifice. You don't just do it any kind of place you want to. Remember, he said, you know, I have a place that I've chosen. That's the place you go. And we know from studying the word that the first place that they went to was in Ephraim and Shiloh. And then later on, when David became king, they came to Jerusalem. Jerusalem was the place. And so in all the other, and there were thousands of towns of Israelites all over the nation of Israel when our fathers went into the land. Thousands of towns all over the place. But they didn't offer no altars of sacrifice nowhere except in Jerusalem. That's it. They weren't going to sacrifice no animal nowhere except there. And the only time they started sacrificing in other places, they started heading and worshiping other gods. But when they were obedient, they only went to Jerusalem. That's it. First to Shiloh, and then later to Jerusalem. And each place was where the Ark of the Covenant was. You know what the Most High showed me? When these people today are so enamored with making buildings, houses of worship, they call it, that's like creating altars. Why do we need some special building to go to where the Ark of the Covenant is not there? Why do we need some special building in our enemy's land to go to? Why do they have to put dollars, hard-earned dollars, into some building somewhere? That's an altar. That's an altar of idolatry, man. It's idolatry. We don't need no building. For what? Look. Honestly, I have been worshiping in churches, and I have been worshiping in homes, and I have been worshiping with people in parks and in woods. And the best fellowship I've ever had was when we get together, like in a little living room somewhere, or around a kitchen table or dining room table with our Bibles open. That's the best fellowship I ever had. When we getting into the word around the table, or we just brothers discussing and chopping up the word across from each other with the scriptures open. There has been no service with a pew and a pastor and a cross that has been equal to that. I'm serious. Where the spirit is among the brothers as we getting into the word and we praying, and the spirit is heavy with us and we can feel it, and we just conversing on the things of the Most High and the things of the scriptures, and our hearts are burning within us. There's nothing sweeter than that. And isn't that what it's all about, really? Isn't that what it's all about? So why are so people, you know why they're concerned? Because real estate is valuable. Right? And people get so caught up in idolatry that I noticed that the bigger the building you build, the more people come and the more money you get. That's what it's a game. And so these houses of sacrifice, you remember the Philistines had a house for their god Dagon. And then Assyrians had a house for their god Nisroch. The Most High didn't even tell the Israelites to build him a building. They insisted on building one. Then he said, okay, if you're going to build it, I'm going to let Solomon build it. And this is where you're going to build it. But then he warned Solomon. He said, listen, you can build the building. But if you start worshiping other gods, I'm going to sweep you away and your building. And that's what he did, isn't it? That's exactly what he did. Twice. The only building we need is the one not made with human hands. That's the holy one, the one not made with human hands. Because when human hands make a building of worship, it turns into idolatry. I'm convicted on that. I'm convicted on that. We don't need no place, because the Most High is in heaven. He's in the most holy place. We could get together and you know what? Look, if one time when I was in a Christian church, the people we were in a board meeting, and they were discussing our church had grown from about 60 members to about 300-400 members, and they were discussing what we should do because there wasn't enough room in our building for the people that wanted to come there. Idolatrous. But even then, I didn't know what I know now. But even then, I said in the board meeting, and they of course chuckled at me. I said what they wanted to do is make our building bigger. They wanted to just build pews and build out the walls and make it a bigger building. And I said, wouldn't it be better to have like 10 small places where like 30, 40 people got together at a time, all over the place, than just one giant building? Like, wouldn't it be better if we were scattered and we had little groups all over the city? And they thought that was crazy. But I still believe that. Like, if you got 60 or 70 people and they can't fit in somebody's apartment, why don't you just take 10 or 15 people and take it in and make it 5 or 6 different apartments? Because that way, wherever you are, the spirit is, and other people might come. You understand? You kind of like salt. If you take too much salt and you concentrate it and put it in one place, it doesn't taste very good. But if you sprinkle it, right? If you sprinkle it, it can make the food taste better, right? But if you concentrate it too much and things too salty, it's not good. And the Most High said He scattered us like the salt. We the salt of the earth. See, if you do it that way, you don't need to worry about building a building. That's idolatry. And brothers and sisters, the money that it takes to build a building in this day and age, right? I mean, y'all got a sense, right, of what it might cost to build what they call a church. It's not really a church. Church is the nation of Israel, but their house of worship. What it might cost? How many electric bills, light, phone, heat bills? How much food can go to poor people among the congregation, right? How much food? How many clothes can you get and clothe people that don't have with the same money that you're going to use to build a temple of worship for idols? And the Most High said, I do not dwell in buildings made with hands. Yeah, there's a lot of things that could be done rather than build some idolatrous house of worship. I'm convinced of that. And brothers and sisters, the days are coming where if you're in the truth, you're not going to be able to have a house of worship anyway. We're going to have to end up worshiping in apartments, in the woods, in parks, in people's basements. We're going to have to do that. Because if you're in the truth, you're not going to be able to go to any of these churches. Not only would they not want you there, it'd be dangerous for you to go there. It's coming to that. You don't see it now, but the Bible speaks of it. It's coming to that. Whosoever would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. It's coming to that. So I believe the Most High is awakening. I know I'm just feeling it in my spirit that I'm just awakening the things that I wasn't aware of before, like what I just explained to you. This whole thing about building churches, that's idolatry, man. That's straight idolatry. It ain't got nothing to do with the Most High's word. It really doesn't. That's idolatry straight up. When you read the apostles, you read about Messiah, they weren't looking for buildings to build for people to worship. They were worshiping by the riverside. They were worshiping on the hillside. Or they would go to a synagogue. Synagogue is a nondescript place. It's not even like, it purposely was made nondescript because they didn't want to make any big deal of it. And not only that, the reason they had the synagogue is because in the days of our fathers, the way they had it set up, you didn't have to walk too far to worship any place. It wasn't like you had to get in the car, get in the horse, and go driving. Only for the feast when they came to Jerusalem. The people would descend upon Jerusalem and they would stay there for weeks. But the way they got this thing today, where these people going to these idolatrous houses of worship that cost hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, that's crazy, man. And our fathers, the Bible says they sacrifice unto devils. Notice what it says. Deuteronomy chapter 32, from verse 16 down to verse 20. Actually, down to verse 21. From 16 down to verse 21. Notice what it said. They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. With abominations provoked they him to anger. They sacrificed unto devils, not unto Elohim, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not. Of the rock that begot thee, thou art unmindful, and hast forgotten Elohim that formed thee. And when Yahweh saw it, he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be. For they are a very froward generation, children in whom is no faith. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not Elohim. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. We're talking about this is the same thing. This is the same thing Romans 11 is talking about, and Romans 10. It's the same. In fact, the Apostle Shaul is quoting the book of the law in Romans 10:11 when he's talking about this. So the Gentiles received the word in the 1st and 2nd century to provoke us to jealousy because we rejected Messiah. But then the Gentiles got caught up in their own conceits and invented Christianity, which the Most High, I want to say this again, said it many times, but for those that are newly listening, he never created a religion in the Bible called Christianity. He never did it. He never created a religion in the Bible called Christianity. He never created a religion called Judaism. He never created a religion called Islam. He never gave names to any of the belief that he gave to his people, to the faith he gave our fathers. There was no name of the faith. There was only the name of the object of worship, which is Yahweh or Yah. That was the name. It was the object of worship that had the name. It wasn't a system. It wasn't an institution. And they worshiped him according to the covenant that he made with them. So now, as a result of us rejecting Messiah and rejecting his covenant, he gave this word to the Gentiles. Gentiles turned around and turned it into Christianity, a form of idolatry. And then we get spanked and placed in slavery for more. People say 400 years. That's not true. We've been in slavery for thousands of years, more than 1,000 years. We were first enslaved by the Arabs, and then the Moors and the Hamites enslaved us, and then the Gentile sons of Yafet came and got us out of Africa. We've been enslaved a long time, and the fact that we keep going into slavery shows you how jealous the Most High is. So now Abraham was never in slavery, Isaac was never in slavery, Jacob was never enslaved, but Jacob's children, the nation of Israel, they were enslaved by the Egyptians, or at least treated like slaves. They were treated like slaves by the Babylonians. They were treated like slaves by the Persians. They were treated like slaves by the Greeks, by the Romans, by the European sons of Yafet, by the Hamites, by the Arab Muslims. We've been treated like slaves by just about every person on the planet Earth. There's a reason for that. Because the Most High has not forgotten the vow of our Father. He has not forgotten who we are, though we forgot, and he said we would. He has not forgotten, and he's going to have a nation from the loins of Abraham. So he said he's going to provoke us to jealousy with a foolish nation. Well, he's already done that. He's already done that. He's caused these Caucasian people to prosper in a way we would never prosper. See, even when a black man gets money in America, He's not prospering as the Caucasian counterpart. He's just not the same. And it's few and far between. And the only ones that get that kind of money are entertainers. That's the only ones that get that kind of money. And they get paid like that because they're entertaining mostly the rich sons of Yafet. That's why they get that kind of money. They ain't getting that money off us. Whenever I watch basketball, I can't afford to go to a game. I can't afford to go to a game. I gotta, if I'm gonna watch it, it's gonna be on TV. I can't afford to go there. It's too expensive. I'm poor. So they ain't getting rich from me. Who paying for them tickets? Not me. I can't. Who paying for them $200 sneakers? They are. So even the rich black men is rich because of entertainment. They can sing, dance, jump, run, box, some sort of entertainment, whether it's sports or music. That's how they do it. And that is controlled by the sons of Yafet. Somebody say these athletes get so much money. They're not getting as much money as the owners. The owners are really getting paid. So when you see somebody getting $100 million and you say, oh man, he made a lot of money, it's the guy that's writing his checks that's the real boss. That's who has the real money. See? And the Most High has blessed us to not get that way. Because we're not supposed to. We're a nation that is from the Most High. We are his chosen people. It's not about a Babylonian or Egyptian system of getting rich. It's just not about that. But many of our people don't understand that, and they still trying to con and whatever they got to do to get that money. But when you're a awakened Israelite, you know better. It's not about that anymore. Not about that. It's about righteousness. It's about higher levels of righteousness, holiness, and truth. Praise the Most High. So our fathers moved the Most High to jealousy and anger, and he caused a foolish nation to move us to jealousy. And now we're in the awakening, but here he's going to show what our fathers have done and what his reaction is. And this gives us an understanding of why we are where we are. See, brothers and sisters, I used to be, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, I used to be like, why is this happening to black people? Why are we the lowest ones? How come people could come here from other countries and make money and get ahead and we can't, and we right here? Our fathers worked here for free for hundreds of years and we can't get nothing. I used to think like, y'all ever think like that? I used to think like that. I say, man, why is it that we getting shot in the street? Why is most of us in jail? Why is our neighborhoods ghetto? Well, we're reading about it right now. We're reading about it right now. See, most people don't want to accept what's right in front of them. It's right here. We're reading about it right here. And the way out is given to us also. It's right here, black and white. Right here. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. It's right here. And that's why the enemy, Satan, and those that are his agents are desperately trying to stop the awakening. Now, they're not going to be able to because it's of the Most High. They can't stop the awakening even as much as they can stop the sun from rising tomorrow. They can't stop it. They can't stop it from rising or setting. Neither can they stop the awakening that's coming on the people of the Most High. It's going to happen, but they're desperately trying to stop it because they know that the awakening of the true nation is the end of their system. It's the end of their Egyptian, Babylonian, worldly system. They know that. The powers that be understand that. And in their carnal ways of thinking, because they don't think spiritually, they think carnally. They're thinking by destroying all the males, they can stop it. Okay, by destroying all the males, they can stop it. That's exactly right. So because they know the awakening of the true nation is the end of their domination. They're worried about that. They're very worried about that, truth be told. But they can't stop it. So that's why I tell our brothers and sisters and the people, don't waste your energy fighting with them. Don't waste your energy fighting with them. Use your energy to awaken. Use your energy to continue your awakening. Okay? Use your energy for that. Because we're living in the generation that's going to see Messiah in the flesh. We're living in that generation. We're that people. We're the people that the prophets talked about. We're the people that Revelation's pointing to. It's us. This is the generation that's going to see Messiah coming in the cloud. We're going to see the kingdom. There are people among us that will never taste of death because they're going to see him. That's why this is very important. And that's why the enemy is out of his mind control. Out of his mind control. He's out of his mind with anger. Mind control. That's interesting. I said that. But he's out of his mind with anger and fury because he knows that his time is short because the awakening has begun. And that's why you're going to see more of us with Israelite blood get murdered and killed before it's all over. You're going to see more of that until we start awakening. Because the enemy wants to wipe us out. But he can't wipe us out. He wants to, though. I know one thing. The Most High has protected me. And I know you can relate, those of you that know, you could relate. It's protected you too. Because I know because of the truth that I have been turned on to by the Most High Spirit, I'm dangerous to Asatan. I'm very dangerous. And he wants to just take me out as quickly as he can. He would love to do that. I know it. The only reason I'm alive is because the Most High has something for me to do. That's the only reason I'm alive. And if the Most High is finished with me, he can put me to rest anytime. But Asatan would love to have killed me yesterday. Or even better, turn me out so that I'm working for him. He would like that. And it's the same for y'all who come to the knowledge of the truth. So he's preserving us and guiding us and directing us because he knows he has plans for us. He's got plans for us. Most High has plans for us in these last days in which we live. Notice again, Deuteronomy chapter 32. I'm going to read from verse 21 down to verse 26. Deuteronomy 32 from 21 to 26. Notice what it says. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not Elohim. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn unto the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. I will heap mischiefs upon them. I will spend mine arrows upon them. They shall be burnt with hunger and devoured with burning heat, and with bitter destruction. I will also send the teeth of beasts upon them, with the poison of serpents of the dust. The sword without and terror within shall destroy both the young man and the virgin, the suckling also with the man of gray hairs. I said, I would scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. See that? Isn't that what happened? Everything we just read, hasn't it happened? He has caused all that to come upon us. And not only people, we don't even know who we are. We're just awakening to who we are. We didn't even know who we are. Many of us reach back to Africa because it's obvious we came from that West Coast. And we reach in there because we don't know who we are. And the minute some man stands up, and Elijah Muhammad, or Marcus Garvey, or Malcolm X, and we're just like, we're like children with no shepherd, and we're reaching for whoever can give us hope and give us a little bit of pride of who we are, because it's been all stripped from us. And we reach and we idolize people in entertainment, sports figures and singers and boxers, because we're looking for some hero, because all of ours seem to be dogged. Children with no father, looking for daddy, because he would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. But there's an awakening. There's an awakening. He's revealing himself to us now. He's revealing to us who we are. He's revealing to us how we got here. He's revealing to us how we're going to get out. Right? He's revealing to us who we are. He's revealing to us how we got here. And he's revealing to us how we're going to get out. It ain't got nothing to do with guns. It ain't got nothing to do with greenbacks or gold of this world. It ain't got nothing to do with getting rich. It ain't got nothing to do with getting political power. Brothers and sisters, speaking of political power, the government of the Most High is the only true government in the universe. Every other government is temporary until the Most High takes over. His kingdom ruleth over all kingdoms. So the only political party we need to be adjoined with is the nation of Israel. The only, government we need to really give homage. I mean, we could give homage to these worldly governments because the Most High tells us to live peaceably with them, but as long as they don't cross with his covenant. But really our focus is the government of the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom where the Most High Yah is going to crown Messiah Yahushua as king on this earth. The kingdom of everlasting righteousness that's never going to die. That's going to be forever and ever and ever. That's where we have to focus. No matter what the presidents do, prime ministers, no matter what these pharmaceutical companies do or these corporations, no matter what they do to try to get ahead, to fool us, to deceive people, that doesn't matter to us now. Now he's awakening us. We have been scattered throughout the earth. Our remembrance has ceased for a moment. They tried to, as the Bible showed us, cease us from being a nation forever. But here we come. See, that's the thing that gives me so much hope. If you look at the history of the true Israelite, the seed of Abraham on this earth, we shouldn't exist right now. We really shouldn't exist. If you look at the history of what we've been through, what has happened to us, what continues to happen to us, what has been tried, how many poisons they tried to poison us with, how many times they tried to kill us, and we're still here. That tells you that there's a supernatural power that's keeping us. They have the powers that be, they had us in slavery. They castrated us. They've killed our men. They've raped our women. They've enslaved us in chains. They've worked us from sun up to sundown in hot fields for hundreds of years for nothing. They've let us live on pig's meat. And we're still here. They hoarded us into ghettos and flooded those ghettos with drugs and alcohol and gangs and guns and bullets, and we're still here. They invented crack and tried to get us destroyed, and it destroyed a whole generation of us, but we're still here. They created Planned Parenthood and tried to castrate us and tried to cause us to become homosexual, tried to cause us to not have children, tried to kill our children, and we're still here. We're still here. And it's not because we're so smart. It's not because we're so strong. Because the Most High said he's going to have a people that are after the bloodline of Abraham. So there's no way. There is absolutely no way Asatan or any of his hosts can actually do away with us. It's not going to happen. See, brothers and sisters, that's what I'm saying. If I was dead tonight, tomorrow another brother would wake up. That's the way this thing worked. See, they were worried about people like Marcus Garvey who didn't have this message. They were worried about people like Elijah Muhammad who didn't have this message. They were worried about Malcolm X who didn't have this message. They were worried about Martin Luther King and Fred Hampton who did not have what we have right now. And they killed all them people. And we still here. And more brothers waking up. It cannot be stopped. Like, can you stop the sun from rising? Can you grab a cloud? Can you stop the air from flowing? That's right. Then you cannot stop this movement. And don't get it twisted. This is the thing I've noticed too about some of the brothers that start to awaken. Because we come out of churches, our history has been in these Christian churches, we start to treat this truth like it's a Christian organization. This is not a Christian organization. You don't have, pastors and first ladies in this thing. See what I'm saying? No, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. You don't have ladies' day and men's day and pastor's anniversary. It don't work like that. That's them. That's the idols. But see, we come out of that, and I'm seeing some brothers still hanging on to those type of roots, especially like these pastors that get the truth. They try to bring that into the nation. No, it's not gonna work. Either you're gonna end up leaving that past in the past, or you're gonna end up backsliding back into it. The Most High is awakening us, and His truth and His true nation is scattered, and it's got nothing to do with the way the Gentiles run this with their religious system. Got nothing to do with that. Very simple. Us, the Most High, and His covenant. It's very simple. His perfect righteousness overcoming all our sin. Very simple. Giving Him honor and glory in obedience to His word. Very simple. Got nothing to do with buildings, planes, cars, land. Got nothing to do with that. We're not going to need all that, because where we're going to be able to fly without a plane. We're going to run all day at full speed and never get tired. Where we're going, we're never going to get old. We're not going to need to buy anything. So all that doesn't matter. That's all this world stuff. So He did scatter us into the corners. He did make the remembrance of us to cease. But now we know that this is past, because now we awaken. We praise the Most High Yah. Now we are awakening. Now we awaken. But He's jealous. So now I just brought this out because He says it. And of course, we know that He said His name is jealous. He said, Yahweh, whose name is jealous. Why He say that? He wants us to understand. Don't have other gods. See, that's what I'm telling you. The mark of the beast has to do with worshiping other gods. That's what it has to do with. And again, let's just look at that. Let's finish tonight in Revelation 13. We're going to end up going into Revelation, and I keep coming back over there because I'm just getting us warmed up. Should I say the Spirit of the Most High just keep touching me to go over there? But I just want you to look at chapter 13, and I want you to notice the word worship or worshipped. Okay? In chapter 13 of the book of Revelation, because this is what it's about. It's about worship. And the first commandment is, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything. So, and the first, and they asked Messiah, what is the greatest commandment? What did He say? Thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind, with all thy strength. That's what He said. He said the first and greatest commandment. And when you have no other God, when you don't worship any image or any church building or any denomination, when you don't take His name in vain, when you obey His Sabbath, you are showing your love to him. Notice chapter 13, though. I'm going to start at verse 2. And I just want you to notice how many times you see the word worship, worshipped. I'm going to start at verse 2. We're going to go down to verse 8. Notice what it says. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast, and they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given to him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth to blasphemy against Yahweh, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And there was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall what? Shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. So we can see right there, it was at least 3 times that you saw the word worship. At least 3 times that you saw the word worship, right? Wait a minute, but it's not done. There's more. There's more. Let's start at verse 11 and go down to verse 15. Notice again, word worship. Watch. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to what? To what? To worship, there it is again, the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. And he doth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not what? Worship the image of the beast should be killed. It's about worship. And we know the first commandment, thou shalt have no other gods before me. We're not bowing down to any image. So this is about worship, and it's about who and what you're worshiping. So as we're saying this, we're understanding, I'm telling you, all these churches I have built in these buildings, these are idolatrous worship places. It's all about worship to some idol god, some white Jesus, something else. Okay? Christianity is an idolatrous religion. Islam, Judaism, man-made idolatrous religions. Ain't got nothing to do with this Bible that we study. Got nothing to do with that. They use it, but they don't follow it. They use it as a prop. Because when you're worshiping the Most High and Him alone, you're jealous about anything else that tries to get between you and Him, whether it be church, denomination, building, person, anything. Because once you receive His righteousness, you know there's nothing like that. There's none like that. So when you receive His righteousness and you start to overcome your sin, you can't give glory to anything else. And anybody that would imply that you did, it makes you a little upset, because you don't want to give glory to anything else, because you know what the Most High Himself has done for you. Especially those of us that are of the nation of Israel, and we know we're awakening to the truth. We're awakening as to who we are. We can't give glory to man. Can't do it. And when I know myself, when I see other people giving glory to man, it rubs me the wrong way, man. But I can't say anything, because that's them. That's their business. I'm not in I'm not in our land. I'm in my enemy's land. So they could do what they do. You understand? It rubs me the wrong way, but what am I going to do? I got to make sure I'm worshiping the Most High. I got to worship the Most High. Okay? I got to make sure I'm growing in the truth, that I'm receiving His righteousness, that I'm overcoming my sin and learning more, and have my ear, my heart open to His Spirit. Because we're living in a time, like I said, where a lot of us going to see the Most High's Son return with power. We're going to see it. That's how close we are to it. We're going to see it with our own eyes. Not rise from the dead and see it. I mean, with our own eyes without seeing death. Okay? But we're not in our land. So we have to tolerate what people do, because we're not in our land. This is not our land. We're in Babylon. We got to tolerate. And the Most High allows us to do that, to teach us patience and to get us closer to him. He allows these things around us. Homosexuality and lesbianism and you know, sex rings and pornography and murder and corruption and liars all around us, all in the earth and all in the leadership of the planet. Crooked things everywhere. Unjust things happening left and right. But we have to stay faithful to the Most High and to his word. Because the time is coming. In fact, the time has come. He's just preparing us. He's preparing us. And we are blessed beyond measure to be included in a group that's awakening. We praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. That's right. They worship man. That's exactly right. Worship man. Come on. Praise the Most High God. I'm going to stop at 26. We're going to start here in the morning, chapter 26. I'm going to start here in the morning. Praise the Most High.